Welcome, welcome. I don't think we've quite, okay. Welcome, Natalie Lucier here, founder of AccessAlly. And I am super pumped about today's seamless scaling interview with Dana Malstaff, founder of Boss Mom. So welcome, Dana.
Oh, thanks for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
Yes. So it's going to be a great conversation, and we're going to dive into your membership, what you've done with it, and why I think is such a successful one as well. So, super pumped about that. And for anyone who is watching, I just want to let you know that we are doing a live seamless scaling challenge that kind of came out of these interviews. So, if you want to participate, you can get all the information. We're going to put the link in the chat below so you can go and find out more. But it's starting January 19th. So, I want to make sure you know about it if you're here live. And it's a really, really cool challenge. It's going to be sort of a live training and mastermind experience where we're going to be talking about how to scale your online courses and membership in 2022. It's something we've never quite done before, so I'm super pumped about doing it. And it's for AccessAlly clients. So, if you don't use AccessAlly, go ahead and check it out and see if it would be a good tool for your course or membership. All right, so Dana, thank you for being here. I would love to kick things off by having you tell us a little bit about kind of how you started this business. Is this something that you always thought you would start a business, or kind of what led to you getting into this situation?
Oh, yeah, we're going all the way to the beginning. Yes. I always knew I wanted a business. But my dad owned an auto body shop. My stepdad had started, tech sales companies, things like that. And yeah, so I always knew I had that entrepreneurial niche. We were a very MacGyver family. I didn't know when that would happen. And as many people went to college and then went and started in like startup companies, I always worked for smaller companies, moved around a bunch because small companies, that's the way it kind of works, wear many hats. And then like a lot of people who became entrepreneurs, I've been let go multiple times because small companies don't always make it. So I remember the second time I've been let go where they just came into the office one day and was like, everybody's got to be fired today. And it was the last time when it was a husband and wife who had owned the company and they were getting a divorce. So everybody that he had hired on the marketing side was getting replaced, which I completely understand, totally get it. And so I took that opportunity where I went in and said, I see what's happening, give me 90 days so I can find something else, whatever. And that's when I decided to start my own company. So most of us were sort of forced into this space. And I was in that same thing. I didn't have any idea of what I'd be doing now, but the night that I got was my last day on the job. Everybody took me out and we had too many shots of tequila. And 6 weeks later, I found out I was expecting. So I joke, I literally became a boss and a mom out on the same day. And that's what started that trajectory. Was basically I had my son, which I have two kids now, but I had my son and I still wanted to work. I wanted him to nap so that I could build my website. I was super excited about it. I felt massively guilty that I didn't want to be a stay-at-home mom all the time, that I really still wanted to build all of these things. And it wasn't just hanging out with my kid. And Boss Mom, once we moved out here to San Diego, where I am now, and found that there were other moms starting businesses, because that was not the case in Columbus, Ohio, where we were living at the time, I realized I needed to write something about, for other moms who feel this way, because there's some brilliant minded people out there who feel like they need to stay at home all day. And for all the women who love to be home all the time with their kids and that feels fulfilling, or want to homeschool or those kinds of things, I love those women. There are also a percentage of women that don't want to do that, and nobody should feel guilty about what feels right for them. And so I wanted to create this space for these women who didn't need to feel bad about wanting to have something, not wanting to go to work, wanting to be with their children, but not wanting their children to be the only thing that they did. And that's how I ended up writing the Boss Mom book in 2015, I think. It just took off. It went really well. The community went really well. In my corporate job, a lot of what I did was help in the community building. I say that I don't have a psychology or behavior psychology degree, but I sat next to somebody who did for several years. Which was really, really helpful to understand how people work. And so I became known for community building. We've been featured on Today's Show now for how we've built the Boss Mom community. And then the Nurture to Convert Society, which is the membership we have now, was built out of the system of how do we nurture people, especially for women in our space that are, a lot of them are B2C. They're not teaching you how to grow their business. They are relationship coaches, life coaches, parenting coaches. They're doing all of these different things to help other people with their lives, not with their businesses. How do we nurture those people? And then how do we nurture each other, recognizing that building a business isn't just about the tools and the stuff, right? Like a community isn't just a place where we all get to be there for support. Like support needs to have a definition, and a membership has to understand what that support needs to look like. And so we've spent the last 2 years building out the Nurture to Convert Society, which I'm super excited to say has been massively successful, and is now just, we've got so many great testimonials and so many things that now I'm starting to get asked to talk about. How do you do that? Which is a very exciting place to be. Oh, I wanted to show you something, because this is what proves what we're about to talk about works. So for Christmas, I had a member send me and my team each a package. And there was a picture, there are other things in there, but there was a framed picture of elephants. And she told a whole story about how elephants don't leave their, members behind, how nurturing they are, and how she wanted to make sure that we knew that Nurture for Society wasn't a business membership. It was a family, that what we've created felt like a family. And then one of my members, or one of my progress coaches, Dana, who's amazing, secretly asked a lot of our members to give just nice things about me or what we've built or something like that. And they sent me what's called the little love jar. And when you open it up, they're little sayings from all of our members about how awesome the society is or how much they love me. She knows words of affirmation are my love language. But so those are the kinds of things that happen when you build something that is more than, where support and community really actually means something, instead of the jargony word that everybody says on their sales pages.
I love that. And I love that your members all sent those. That's such
right?
Such a sweet thing to do. I love it. And we have something similar at AccessAlly. So, I like the term nurture and how we can nurture each other and our communities. And we obviously use the word ally because, how can we be allies to each other on the team, to our customers, our partners, and kind of that greater community. So I love that you guys start with that word. And that's kind of what your whole community is built around. So I think that's really cool. So actually that kind of leads to a great question that I had for you, which was, obviously you wrote the book, it was a success. And what made you decide that you wanted to do a membership site versus, say, a course or maybe like a mastermind or a coaching thing? Or I know there's like so many different business models that you could follow. Like you could have done, physical products, and I know you might have a couple of those too. So I don't know, what made you pick the community and the model that you went with?
Yeah, well, so the first answer is I did all of those things. So in some ways, the learning, I think for everybody, understanding a membership model isn't going to work with everybody. There are some audiences where community is not important to them. I tell people that there's 3 kinds of ways people have a problem. They either have a problem they're vocal about, they have a problem that they know they have, but they're not vocal about it, or they have a problem that they're unaware what that real problem is and are not vocal about it, right? So understanding what those are, for instance, if you have an audience where you're teaching them about diabetes, which one of our members is teaching you how to manage it, avoid it, like all of those things, those people don't want to talk to each other about that. It's not a good, that's just not one thing. Another one is divorce. In some ways, divorce communities, depending on how you approach it, it can become a lot of anger and a lot of things that people are dealing through. A lot of times they don't want to talk about some of those things. They want to do it in private. Doesn't necessarily translate as well to, whereas you get something where it's people with autoimmune disorders, they love to connect with other people because it makes them not feel so alone. So understanding where that is for moms, we know they like community. We know we want to talk to each other. So we've done Boss Mom Academy for a long time. Part of when we talk about like our inner limiting beliefs, I never wanted to scale it. It was a 6-month program. It was the exact same way everybody has ever run a group coaching program, with weekly calls. And it's a bunch of moms. You want to know what happens? You know this. Your kids get in the way, right? Your kids need stuff. And it's never when it's on your schedule. Actually, it's always when something else is on your schedule. The universe knows, right? They're sneaky that way. And so just the whole normal model doesn't work. Also, I don't know if you've noticed this, but with most entrepreneurs, you want to know what we do? We change our mind. we figure things out, and then we decide over here, and we go to an event, and then we want to do this over here, or we gain clarity, what we call is stages of clarity. It's like incremental clarity where that you mature, you become a mature entrepreneur. And so doing a 6-month program doesn't work when you're talking about entrepreneurialism, right? It's the same thing as parenting. Parenting coaching lends itself really well to community because you want to know what changes your kids all the time. And we need ongoing. So I think through that, we did events. We did workshops, live workshops where I traveled and did those. We did, 1-day intensives. We did 6-month group coaching programs. We dabbled in products, which was, the margins are terrible. So it's like, why do that? And we did all of those things. And what we realized is what women need is this for our audience. And I think for a lot of entrepreneurs is ongoing support. They need ongoing support through the clarity stages, through the building stages, into the optimizing stages. And they need ongoing support for when none of it works, because it's an 80-20 rule. Only 20% of the time, the marketing you try, the messaging you try, the opt-in you build is going to work. So how do we create a system where they don't give up? And that lended itself to the membership. And we started with the Boss Mom Vault, which was like the Disney Vault. We just threw all of our stuff in there so that, you could get whatever you want when you need it. And it was about 8 months, which in the grand scheme of things was a very short amount of time to really realize that does not work either. So you can't create a community where every month you put in new content. It's all about putting something new out that's not going to really help them move forward. A membership has to be about helping them move closer to clarity, more refining, more optimizing, more pruning. A membership that just gives more is an unuseful membership. It has to be a membership that teaches the system and refines that system. It has to be a membership that guides them towards a path of clarity rather than a plentiful path of too many choices. And so we changed it to the Nurture Convert Society. Just the name change alone and the way that we changed the system, sales doubled. And now 2 years after having that done, which launched a month before the pandemic hit, by the way, we now have 1/3 of our members come in just from saying people have referred us. We are constantly getting new videos and testimonials. We don't offer a lifetime access pass anymore, but we had 40% of our members up level to a lifetime access pass. We have people that say that they're never going to leave. And so recognizing that the key to a membership is not more, I think is one of the biggest things that anybody can take away from what we're talking about today.
I love that. And yeah, I think all of us who think, I'm going to create a membership, we are on this sort of content creation treadmill where we're like, okay, I need a new module, or I need a new course, or a new mini something, a new downloadable, a new piece of content that people can consume. And depending on who your audience is, like there are some, cases, maybe if you're a teacher sharing resources for other teachers to use with their kids, yes, they do need something new to kind of use in school or whatnot. But for most people, and I'm thinking definitely entrepreneurial type memberships, that just leads to shiny object syndrome, right? And we don't want to encourage that more. We want people to, go deeper on what we know is going to work for them. So I love that you shifted that way. And I was actually going to ask you kind of what was the long-term thinking around that, and how did you come to that decision? I guess some of it came from trial and error, but I would love to hear kind of what's your long-term vision or thinking around the membership, because I think it's such a cool thing.
Well, I definitely think that you shouldn't create a membership until you feel like you have your own method, right? Because if you don't have your own method, then what you're going to think a membership is bringing in a bunch of experts to talk about a bunch of different things. And if you have a membership that supplements a system, that could be valuable, right? So there is a time and a place where the up level of the membership is, high level people that people respect on various topics. But most of the time, if you want a membership to be your full-time, so by the way, when I had the academy, when I had all these other things and I had a bunch of one-on-one clients, I worked a lot, right? Now I make the same amount of money, right? And I am able to actually better support our members. And we do what we call micro coaching. So we do Loom videos and all these things. We have some progress coaches. We have all this stuff. We give way more support than I was able to, and a fraction of the time, right? Which means I only have about 3 or 4 hours of calls every week. And that's with mostly team members. I don't take on one-on-one. I have 2 one-on-one clients that are long-term, and that's it. It's like frees up so much of this time to really get better at what we're doing and offer this kind of support. And so I think you got to recognize in a membership that having your own system is the better way, because we do release new content or refine content. But what we do it, and this is what I would recommend for everybody, is we do it as releases. We treat our membership like software. So like you come out with a 2.5 release, right? We do the same thing for our membership. And what it allows us to do is treat it like a piece of software, which says, is there new functionality? Did we fix any bugs? Right? Is there updated content or new content? But it's all based around making the system better. Right. So we've added a new video talking about niching down, because all of our questions in the society, we're seeing one of the big problems is you're not niching enough. So we've added something to solve a problem. So we only add content when it solves a new problem or refines something so that people need us less. The goal of every membership should not be like, entrepreneurs have an egotistical problem. I'm the same way. Every human being is the same way. I need people to need me. I need to feel wanted. So it really goes against our own psychology to create a system that no longer needs us. But that should be everybody's goal in the membership. It's not that everybody needs to be in, like, community and support is not that everybody's in the Facebook group asking you questions that only you can answer. The goal, like you talk about what our future goal is right now, we're at about 80-20, where 80% of our members, there's a few key things that they need our help with. So we've started at like getting your messaging opinions. Messaging is the key one that everybody has a hard time with, right? And so we're looking at how do we refine to getting them so that instead of 80-20, where they need us to answer a particular kind of thing to help them get to the clarity they need from our Facebook group and our little micro coaching, to 80-20, where 80% we're just affirming that what they've done is right in the community. And so what we couldn't do is we could say, oh, well, they need us. Everybody's really happy. We answer all these questions and everybody loves it. We're doing a good job. But a good membership running person says, I don't want to be needed. I want them to get that feeling of clarity and rightness in their own in the training, and then come here where we just pat them on the back and tell them they're awesome. Like, that would be better. So in the future is we're refining some of those things, but actually in the end of January, we're going to be launching the Nurture Convert certification, which is the next step in order for them to not need us, but times when they don't want to write for themselves or they need a virtual assistant. Most people don't know our system, and we have a system that's very different than other people. We have a system that is not based on posting on social media all the time. It is not based on more content. We say consistency of messaging, not consistency of content. We have women who have limited time and resources. And so we're doing a VA and a content certification that's going to launch at the end of the month. And we have a whole integrated system. So this is part of what I love AccessAlly, because right now our members can turn in points to unlock content templates or unlock hot seats with me. So instead of us doing a weekly call, they're turning in points for a hot seat when they need it. They're getting that in just in time coaching that they need. Our certifications for our VAs and our content writers, part of getting the certification means that our members will be able to turn in points for time or content from our members that are getting the certification. So the points will be able to be turned in for someone to write your buzz questions or to write one of your emails or to post on social media for you for a week, like those things, so that our people that are going through the certification get testimonials, they get what they want, and our members don't have to pay for those things. And it becomes this really good ecosystem. And so us doing the certification solves this problem that we had. And it creates a place where, by the way, a membership, I want them to not leave. I don't want them to go and get other coaches. I don't want them to go get funneled into other things. I don't want them to think they need something else. The more I can create a membership that is a true ecosystem where they never want to leave, the more they become loyal to what we are. And when you create loyalty, you create buzz where people start talking about you because they love you so much that they want to tell everybody. And then they want their friends to come over so that their friends can be a part of it and all of those things. And just, so that's our, I mean, we have a really long-term vision that actually includes helping single moms and doing all these things. And we have a whole 501. So I have a whole long-term plan, but for our membership, that's kind of the place that we're going, which was very long-winded. Sorry about that.
No, this is so awesome that like there's a couple things I want to dig into, but the first thing you mentioned was that you kind of think of your membership as a software release, right? So I obviously, as a software person, I love that. So what made you think of it that way? How did you come to the conclusion that, we want to release it as like a new, like maybe it's the announcement side of things that's exciting for members that keeps people more engaged? What was kind of the inspiration behind that? Because I haven't seen a lot of people do that.
Okay. Well, there's two things. So number one is our natural instinct to want everything done now. Right. So in order for me and my team to not get overwhelmed, because my kids are 6 and 8, almost 7 and 9. I actually really like them right now. I've got a couple years before they don't want to hang out with me anymore. And so I want open space and time. So when we were looking at planning, I started noticing, okay, I'm a systems person. So I'm like, I want to templatize the entire world. Everything I can templatize, I want to. Like, I'm the person where you open my cupboards and there's little bins. I like containers that put things into other things. And so when I was looking at it, I was going, okay, well, if I am looking at all the things I want to do to make this better, the problems that we're seeing, how can I create a system around deciding what happens now versus later? Because I can't do everything now. There's not enough time to do. And if I did that, then I would have no time to sell. And what we notice for most people is they build something and then they spend 90% of the time selling. And then they get people that leave. There's a lot of churn and a lot of attrition. And what we want is good attrition. Like, we want good retention, low attrition, knowing that you can't make everybody stay all the time. Right. But I need to be able to sell and be able to provide support. And so when we did that, I started going, okay, well, let's put them out into months of what we do. Okay, now that I've done that, like, what are the things that I want to categorize? So then I was like, well, there's bugs that we need to fix, like something that's not working right with permissions. And then this is new content. Well, this one, we just had a new update on this. So we need to update this video. And so then ClickUp, we had moved from Trello to ClickUp, and ClickUp does a really great job of putting out their, like, they do a Friday release. And so I saw it and then I was like, oh, these categories are perfect. We'll just use these categories. And then when I started to put those categories in, I was like, wait a second, what if I don't want to do a release every week or every month? That's another thing for memberships is stop doing it where you make promises about what you're going to put out, because then all you're doing is creating content as opposed to tending to your members. So the idea of the software allowed me to stop thinking about a monthly update or a thing that people expected and said, I don't know when our releases are going to be. Like, sometimes we'll have we're doing a 2.9.1 release right now because I want our 3-point release to be like, our 2-point release was releasing 2.0 release was our points. We announced points. 3.0 is integrating the certification. And so we're like playing with the numbers to be like, we have one more release. We'll just put a 1 at the end. But what it does is it allows me to not release things on a schedule that everybody's holding me to. It allows me to decide what needs to get done. And is it tiny? Is it big? And so I can plan things out to make it better. And when we start to make it more software-like, then everybody knows that the goal is continual improvement as opposed to just more stuff. And you'd be amazed that when people are selling, they think more bonuses, more stuff is better. But you'll see all the multimillionaires don't do that. They do less. I'm going to make you do less to get you the results you want. So when you recognize that that's the thing, that simplicity is what people actually want, a guided simplicity is what they want, not more stuff, then showing them that you're creating a system that's always refined to get them better results faster without needing you to be able to do it on their timetable, all of a sudden your sales start going up. And so I feel like it's good to talk people through that, because you'll come to these realizations. And I'm telling you, switching it to just that one change of making it like software updates has changed the game on how my business is run and taken an immense amount of stress off of running a membership, because it can feel overwhelming if you're not doing it in a way that is like ours. If you're doing it in the more is more kind of mentality, you'll end up shutting it down, just like people shut down their Facebook groups because they run it the wrong way. And then it just becomes overwhelming and unfun.
Like so much brilliance shared. Thank you so much. It's awesome to hear your mindset around it. I feel like membership, we go into it with a certain mindset. And then unless you kind of make these realizations, you're right. Like people will shut down memberships or they will say, this is unsustainable. I can't do it, but you created it yourself. So it's kind of like you created your own monster, right? So there
Yes.
is a way to do it. And I love that you're sharing what's worked for you. So thank you for that. And you mentioned, obviously you use AccessAlly, and you mentioned, releasing points. So can you tell us about maybe some of your favorite features of AccessAlly or how you're using them in kind of creative ways?
Yeah. So we used Thinkific for years. And we had a big course that we sold and all those things. So when we decided to do the membership, I knew I wanted it to be an affinity program, right? I want something where people don't want to leave. Like, even if they're not using it for a month, they go, oh, just, if I leave, I'm going to lose something. And so looking at what you guys had was, and with AccessAlly was, and I use Entreport. So you guys have a really good Entreport integration. So that also helped. But looking at the way you guys did points and gamification and everything, I was like, okay, I want to do this, even though we didn't do it for the whole first year, but we primed everything when we built it so that we could, right? The other thing, even before points, that I loved about what you guys have is, since it's embedded into WordPress, I can build pages. So for instance, we use ClickUp, and we have what's called thought joggers, and thought joggers are little micro trainings and things like that curated. So if you are working on your opinions from your messaging and you're just not quite sure how to make it work for your industry, or you just need a little more, instead of putting more training in, we do thought joggers. You can go over to the opinions and you can see the exact questions we answered in our micro coaching. So it allows us to pull out things from the Facebook group and actually hyper focus. But in ClickUp, we just embed the document that we've created for that in there, and it's now a protected page. So the fact that I have so much flexibility, which I know for anybody that doesn't like systems or tech or things like that, that can be scary. Flexibility isn't good if you're dealing with a market that doesn't know how to use things or doesn't want to. But for me, I want that flexibility. So I love that I have pages. I love that I have really good tag integration. Like, we have a welcome sequence. And then once they've clicked that they've finished that welcome course, they now only see the dashboard. I love that our dashboard is a legit dashboard, which shows them the progress of all their things. Plus we have 3 stages: the movement, momentum, and velocity. So once they've clicked on the things that they've finished, and then they can earn points for finishing the coursework, but which we can show them, but they can also earn points that we've put through Entreport, where they just pop up and they fill out a little form, and it auto gives them points for things like getting featured on podcasts, for getting their opt-in up and running, for reading books that we tell them to read, for creating a mastermind with other society members. So we can actually add to the way that they earn points by implementing. And that has been really, and we give them points for giving testimonials. Giving a testimonial in the first month, they get points if they do it written and video. And so we incentivize them doing those things. And then we have a very limited, then we created templates that are locked. So like email templates, they get all the membership, but these 90-day email templates, or, Labor Day flash sale templates, they can unlock for 50 or 100 points, or to get hot seat stuff with us. And then in the future to get, our certification members to help with content. And so the points, just the flexibility with that, like there aren't a lot of systems where you can add, like you can give them points for doing courses, but I don't want to just give people points for watching the stuff. Like, that's unhelpful to me. That's the least interesting thing actually for me. I want to give them points for actually doing the stuff that gets them results, which makes me look good. Like, I look great when my members are successful. So it's my goal to make our members successful. And then we can see when people, the integration allows us to also see when people haven't logged in or they haven't done things. So we can then trigger things to get them engaged. We also, another thing that we just implemented that I love is we now have a little campaign in Entreport that is 3 different tags. So when it's their birthday, it tags us and we auto give them 20 points and send them an email and say, happy birthday, here's 20 points. We have another one that is one, if one of our members is just awesome, they've been answering a lot of questions for people, they've just been really engaged and really great, then we can just put a tag in Ontraport that says like engaged community member, and it gives them 20 points and sends them an email and says, thank you for being such a value. Like you make this membership better. Here's 20 points. And then it removes the tag so we can do it over and over again. And then we have one for, oops, we made a mistake, because we're human and sometimes something breaks or we put the wrong video somewhere or, something happens and we want to just, or for instance, like I promised something and then something happens and I can't get it out for 3 weeks because I got sick or a kid got sick or everybody got sent home. We send out a thing that gives everybody a 20 points. It says, oops, we made a mistake. Here's some 20. So the points allow us to build connection with our members in a lot of different ways, to make them feel seen on their birthday, like to make them feel seen and heard when they're being an engaged member, to let them know that we're human and that we admit to that and and it's okay to be vulnerable in those places. So the points have just opened up a huge possibility for us to actually make more money because, with the templates, they can either buy it or use points for me to not be overburdened with coaching calls because they turn in points, which means they have to have done a certain amount of work to have enough points to do those things. Yeah. So there's so much that can happen with those points if you really think about how to use them in a way that creates a good ecosystem of testimonials, of happiness, of being seen, and frees up your time as well. So it's worked out really well for us so far.
I love how you're implementing it and, kind of the thought that you put into it, because that's the thing with a lot of software options, right? They can have all the features you want, but unless you know how you plan to use them, it doesn't really matter that they're like this huge list of checklist items that, that exist on that sales page.
Well, and doing it like the software allows us to release those things incrementally. Like, oh, here is a new thing you can use points for. Oh, here, this is a way we've refined this system or done whatever that is. Like it allows us, like we didn't do points until 2.0. When we made the courses, we made it so that they could earn points. But I knew that I needed the first year to work out kinks to figure out what people need points for, we getting to know the system and where there were issues and where there were challenges and figure that stuff out. So that has been, it's important to know that you don't have to use all the features at once, but it's good to have an idea of what you'd love for it to be. And then treating it like a software allows you to build it out incrementally. And then it just becomes easier and easier to know what you're going to release and how easy or hard it will be to implement that one thing.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. And the other thing I want to dive a little bit deeper on, if you don't mind, is your certification approach. So obviously AccessAlly has kind of the ability to do certifications. You can auto generate certificates and obviously the points, and there's the private notes and all of that. So, and you haven't rolled it out yet. So feel free to, keep that behind the curtain if it's not quite ready. But what's kind of going on behind the scenes to make that happen? Because I know it's a pretty big project too.
Well, we're building it out now. So it's not all finished, right? We're calling January our intentional intensity month, right? So I don't like hustle. I don't like things, but we're very intentional about the time we do have and using it to the best of our ability. But there are a couple things that we're really excited about. So one is last year we do local meetups, right? And then, so we put our directory, our local meetup host directory is on there, which is available to the outside world. We also have our Nurture Convert Society directory, right? So we have all of our members and it says who they are and that kind of thing. Because eventually what we want is we want people to just send people to our directory, be like, oh, check me out here, right? So our certified members will have badges that say they're certified. And all of those things, which is great, definitely using the certification, or the certificates and things like that, which is awesome. We also, we're figuring out all the things right now, but we want them to be able to have points based on client success, things like that, so that they could earn points that they can turn in for hot seats and things like that, based off of things they do as a certified member. And we want to be able to have it where there are more certifications or badges based on, like the success they have, the clients they have, the testimony, things like that, so that people can know that they're high quality, right? We're also being very specific about how we let people in for our VA side. We're, anybody that wants to be VA could come in and do the training. From our content side, it's an application. We have to know that you know how to write in order for us to be able to train you how to write our system. So leveraging the indoctrination part of how everybody's coming in and training. It's very interesting because our VA side is much more like a course. Like this is the other thing that I love is when someone comes in and they're in the VA certification, they get a different dashboard page. When they come in and they're doing they get a different dashboard. So I can have this one place. If you were anywhere else, I'd have to build something completely different. Right. And then they could move over here. But for us, because it's all based around these tags, I can just give them this one space where they have a different view and they have different sidebar of what they have access to. And so it's like, as we're doing this, I'm not having to reinvent the wheel. All we have to do is say, where do we want them to land? And so our dashboards are different. And so I'm really excited about dashboard stuff that's different for them because our dashboards really are progress. Like we want our dashboard to be a dashboard. And that's very important to us. So the dashboards, getting the certificate, adding the badges to our directory so that people know like who they can be hiring and things like that. And then the other thing that we're going to be doing, which I'm really excited about, is our template system. And we're working this out. So if anybody goes into our certification, just know this may be tweaked. But for our content writers, one of the things that I really want, that I love about the fact that I can have tags, I can have it where if they don't have access, it leads them to a sales page. Like you allow me to do funnels in a really interesting way inside of my membership, which is really cool. So what we're going to do is we have a template space, right? And there's templates everybody has access to. And then there's upgrade templates, which are our big email templates or our sales content, right? Our certification for our content writers, at the end of the certification, they're going to be writing a 90-day nurture sequence for a specific industry, for like relationship coaches or for, autoimmune disorder. Like we want them to niche, right? They're going to create that. And we're going to have that 90-day nurture as a template in our template, which is right now it's a template page. In the future, it's going to be a template marketplace. So we plan on having a marketplace of templates. Then what's going to happen is our members can go and they, will be able to upgrade to that template. We're going to pay out our certified members 50%. So we keep 50%. We pay them out 50%. On the thank you page that people get when they buy will be a video sales letter of that content creator selling their services on top of it. So what we're going to be able to do, which I love because I don't have to figure out how we're going to do it. You guys have all the capabilities in there, is we're going to be able to create a marketplace so our certified members not only get more clients from our members, but they also can have passive income. Right. And then they also can upsell because we are able to create this really small funnel within the whole system and our members never have to leave. And in the future, there's a few key people that I'm going to be partnering with where we're licensing their content in here so that we will have outside content in courses in our thing. And we pay out half. So what we want eventually is to be able to have an actual marketplace and for our members to never have to leave to get the things that they need. And it's great because I just don't have to, I can do it all within your system.
Yeah, I feel like all the things you described are not possible with most of the like hosted solutions and all of that. So
no.
And also I love the vision that you have. Like, I think this is what separates you and what you've created is that you have this big vision of like the marketplace, the certification, the way people can interact with each other and with you. And I think that's just so beautiful. And like, it's definitely the system mindset. I can see it coming through, but I feel like it's so powerful to delivering that experience that's really going to get them the results they're looking for. And I think that's what we all kind of start businesses for, right? Is to help people achieve those goals. And like you said, just watching a course or a video is fine, but it doesn't really translate into action. So I love that you reward people for reading the books or getting a podcast interview or, whatever it is that you're kind of getting them to take action on. So
yeah, I have a friend who calls, anytime there's, friction, right? So you're in a line in the grocery store and it's like the person in front of you pulls out 18 coupons and you're like friction, right? Like he calls anything that is just in your business and anything, he runs an agency. So anything that's off system causes friction, right? There's more possibility of issues, of unhappiness, of annoyance, of any of those things. And so I look at the membership as how can I get rid of friction? So interestingly, I would have never done a certification. I would normally tell people like the members grow the membership. But as we were growing the membership, what we noticed is that our members want somebody else to write their emails and they want somebody else to post their social content. And when they hired somebody outside, they would give them all these ideas that would make our life harder. It would create friction for us to help them use the system. So the reason we're doing the certification is to solve a friction problem, which is I need VAs and content writers to be able to teach our system, to be able to implement our system without causing us friction. By telling them a bunch of different options. Like, you know what, I joke that when everybody goes to a conference, what they should just wear is everybody should just wear a shirt that says, you know what you should do? Because everybody has an opinion. And you end up coming home from an event just having 18 opinions that you have no idea which one's the right one for you. I feel like you get like fatigue, like aha fatigue from like going to these places where everything sounds great and you've just been funneled like 18 times. Yeah. And so I would tell people like things like that. Like if you have a system that the outside world can no longer implement for you unless they learn your system, it's like, then it's the time to do a certification. And our projections, hopefully they're correct, are very good financially for how this certification will work. And we're controlling the growth. Like we control the growth for our certification or for our member. We just doubled our prices and it was low cost. It was $47 a month for the first 2 years. And then what we saw is I can't give the support at the volume we were growing. So we doubled our prices. So it's not a let's raise our prices because someone told me I'm valuable enough, right? Like I know how much money I make when someone hires me one-on-one. Like we know how valuable we are. We looked at the supply and demand. And so really actually using real economics when you run your business, I feel like should be something most everybody should do. And I love how you guys do that too. Like controlling your growth is actually really smart and recognizing how can you do it where you have to use less effort to sell, right? And then keeping it, understanding that just increasing your prices all the time isn't necessarily the answer. How do you get where you want to go while offering superior support, like a superior outcome for people, creating a brand and loyalty in a really valuable way, but controlling that. And I think that's really hard for people too. It's like that desire to be needed. We want to go, well, I should get bigger. I should grow more. And I think creating a world, which is, I really love what you've done. And we talked about when you were on my podcast, which is, what does that get you? What does getting bigger get you? Right. And it's not always what you want. And so I think the more people know about what business, what legacy, what life they want to lead will actually help you build a membership, because then you can build something that is sustainable and can be controlled in a way that gets you what you want financially, gets your members what they want. Right. And everybody actually gets to be happy as opposed to just thinking you need to get bigger because you can. I don't know why I ended that as a question.
Well, yeah. And that really reminds me of kind of this concept of sort of sustainable scale, right? Like, is it scaling for scaling's sake? And I know this is called our seamless scaling series, but I feel like it should feel seamless. It shouldn't feel like this super hard friction kind of thing that when you are scaling your business, and it should be your version of scale, right? So it doesn't have to be like, okay, I have 100 members. How do I get to 10,000? Just because that's the number that someone else says is like a sustainable, or, a successful membership. So.
Yeah. Well, I love what you say that bringing this up too, because I feel like the word scaling has been hijacked, right? Like when you talk about scaling, it's not about just getting bigger. Scaling means that you can get bigger without the extra effort, right? So being a one-on-one coach is unscalable. You are a limited resource, right? So building a membership actually allows scalability more in a lot of ways, because a group coaching is only scalable if you hire people, but a membership is scalable without the extra overhead. So you can actually be more scalable in terms of increasing your profits while still providing really good service with a membership. So there's a lot more opportunity there. I remember I was pregnant with my daughter, 2015-ish? Yeah, around 14, 15, something like that. And Is it funny? I don't remember when I was pregnant with my daughter. And I was sitting on a panel for millennials. I was literally the only what can be considered a millennial, and I'm on the cusp. And I remember sitting there 7 months pregnant, and they only brought me on because there was no women on the panel. And they called me up and they're like, we need a woman on this panel. And I was like, I'll take it. And I got on, and I remember everybody had brick and mortar businesses. Everybody was talking about how many employees they had. And I said, my goal in life is to never have a full-time employee, but to be a millionaire. Like that was my goal. I don't want it. I don't want people. I don't want an office. I want complete mobility, complete flexibility, because I have no idea who I'm going to be in 10 years. And the amount of people that came up to me was like, I want that. How do I do that? Right. And so, yeah, so I never wanted a business that scaled off of people. I wanted a business that scaled off of content and off of what we could offer. So I think everybody should be aware when they get into your challenge, scaling is not making more money. Scaling is making more money with less effort. So whether you want to be a $500,000 business or just make six figures, or you want to be multi-million, whatever it is, scaling is about the ratio between what you're making and what you're paying at your profitability and your effort. So just know that you could every single month make your system better, which really alleviates 1 hour of your time. And you are now making more money from profitability standpoint. And so, yeah, if everybody looked at scaling that way, I think we'd all run better businesses, because scaling isn't about getting bigger. It's about the possibility of getting bigger with less effort. I think, if that makes sense.
Yes. I like, I'm like, how do we do a standing ovation if I'm already standing? So, oh my God, thank you so much. So I was going to ask you, is there any last kind of membership secret? I know you've already shared so many great things. Any like things you want to share for people who are considering or already in a membership, but kind of feeling like I need to tweak things based on what I've learned today?
Yeah. Okay. So there's a couple things. One is in the community. Like one of the really other big important things I think about when we make our content is at the end of each of our courses or strategic places, we guide them on what to ask us questions about. Right. So one of the biggest things people tell me, because I do a lot of stuff on community building, and what people tell me is, well, we can't get our Facebook group to be, to connect, or everybody's asking a bunch of different questions. There's no consistency, anything like that. And so if you don't get people asking the same questions over and over again, then your members can't help answer that questions. And what you want to do is you want to create a community ladder, right? We do this in our free Boss Moms group. You do it in paid groups. In paid groups, it actually helps you, because the more your members understand your system, the better they are at answering questions. So people will go in and be like, I know what Dana would say, which I love. When something starts with, I know what Dana would say, I'm like, oh yes, you're making my life easier. And you're validating my soul by knowing that I've like ninja'd my way into your brain thought process. But that's, so at the end, we tell them, hey, you've mapped out your opinions. Hey, you've done your elevator pitch. Hey, you've done your results framework. Go in and share it into the group. So what we can't have, and when I bring a progress coach on, which we have 2 right now, we don't really plan on having more than that, is we can go in and go consistently know what questions are going to be asked. And every once in a while you get an outlier. That allows it to show other people that it's okay to do those things. Then we can iteratively get better results. So you have to be conscious that a community isn't just a place that everybody goes. It will not thrive unless you teach people how to engage in the community, and then you reward people for being there for other people. So both of my progress coaches were members that were so engaged and so good at learning my system that I now pay them to go in and help people on a time basis, make sure that we're getting support for everybody. So that's a really, really important one. Absolutely make sure that like testimonials don't make themselves. Like, how many books have you read or people you love that you've never told them, never review their podcast, never Amazon, any of those things? People may love you, but they will not tell you. So you have to incentivize testimonials, because your membership will sell way better if it's death by social proof. Like, more social proof, the better, right? Just do it over and over again. And then I think constantly asking your members, like we do posts all the time. That's like, hey, we're about to do this thing or update the sales page. Does anybody have anything nice to say? You'd be amazed at how people will want to perpetuate that. And then I also think recognizing that there has to be some 20% of whatever your membership is that allows people to be vulnerable. And the only way people will be vulnerable is if you're vulnerable. So for instance, I turned 40 last year. I had this whole plan. I was going to do this. I hate launches. I have no idea why I thought I was going to have a sale when I turned 40. I also had been working really hard on being healthy. So I was doing a boudoir shoot, which is super stressful, by the way, for anybody who's ever done one, really stressful. And I just broke down. I didn't do the sale. Like I couldn't do it. I started hating life. I started like gaining weight because I was like stress eating. And so I just went in and I said, I'm stopping the sale. I'm stopping this whole thing. We're not doing any of this. And I want to tell you why. And I want you to have permission to not do things, even if you said you were, if you find it was the wrong decision. And oh my gosh, people were insane. There was another time where I wasn't doing training for a couple weeks because I was having an emotional thing, like family thing that had happened. And I hadn't told anybody about it. And so I was not being, getting in for just these weird internal reasons. And I went in and did a video in the group and just said, look, I haven't been around for the last 2 weeks and I want you to know why. And telling you this is going to help make me feel less judged about the situation I'm in. And so I'm going to just tell you what it is and then know that this is going to free me up to come back in. And the amount of just love and compassion and the amount of people like in the jar that I have that say, I love that you show that being human is okay and that you can still be successful and be human. And so you have to be a little vulnerable if you want your audience to be vulnerable. And if you create that little space for vulnerability, not where everybody's crying all the time and you help them get past it, but you show them that you're human, you will create an immense amount of loyalty because people want to run their business like you, or they want to live their life like you. And if you don't practice what you preach, then, people are going to know it. And that integrity is so important to the community, which means in your training and the things you offer points for and everything like that, I'm the same way. Like when I talk about niching down or talk about, limiting mindset in one of our trainings, I will tell them about my own. I will tell them about my problems. I will tell them about those things, not things that I haven't gotten past, by the way. They can't be things you're in right now. They have to be things you've gotten past. But being vulnerable, I think, is one of the keys to a membership, because if they think it's being run by a robot, then they won't want to stay. And if you have the key to a membership is that people don't leave. It only grows if people are staying. Otherwise, that money goes away.
I always do the same thing in terms of that vulnerability piece. So I'm really glad that you shared that. And I feel like it's a tricky thing to balance, but I think you do it really well. And I think that's exactly what people are looking for. They don't want someone that's sharing like their current open wound, but they do want to be able to see that human side and, know that they're doing business with someone that they can really relate to. So I think that's really beautiful. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, okay, people love what you're up to. Maybe they're a mom and they have a business. Where should they go and find out more?
Yeah. So we've got boss-mom.com is our main website. That'll get you to the Facebook group and to our podcast. We're about to hit 2 million downloads on our podcast. So I'm super pumped. The podcast, it'll get you to, all the resources and all those things. If you actually want to go check out our membership, that's nurturetoconvert.com. And that is, you'll see all the things, all the stuff, everything it's about. Which we're super, super excited about. We've actually just launched, I didn't even mention this, but we just launched the ability that we have a course now on blogging for Boss Mom. And we now, once you've finished the course, it qualifies you and sets off a process to make you a contributor on our blog. And so in order for us to help our members grow, knowing that visibility and authority is always one of the toughest parts, people can now, who are our annual members only or above, can blog on our site. And we have a whole process for that. So I'm really excited because we just launched it in December. And it's one of the other ways that it's an affinity program. Like if you're a member, you can continually blog. And we just hired a Pinterest expert to come in and build visibility for us through our blog. So you'll start seeing those. But yeah, there's a lot of really awesome benefits. We really do want to create a true ecosystem where we leverage our authority to give you visibility, as well as build your skills and make it this ecosystem. So we're not just one part of the puzzle, but we are the family that you have been wanting for your business. So if that sounds good to anybody, they can go check it out. Or just, you can totally funnel hack me too, because I love doing that to everybody else. If you just want to peek behind the curtain and see how it works, I am an open book.
Awesome. Oh my gosh, I love it. Well, thank you so much for being here, Donna. And I love that you used the word ecosystem so many times. That is something that we talk about at AccessAlly Live too. So I feel like we have so much overlap and so much awesomeness. So yes, go in and check out everything at boss-mom.com. And thank you so much for being here. And if you are curious about the Seamless Scaling Challenge, just take a look at the link below. You'll see all the details and you can sign up for that. And we start January 19th. So I will see you there. Thank you so much and have a great rest of your day. All right. Okay, so it says we're still live, but we are no longer live.